What's up, guys? My name is Brandon, and welcome to Audio Addiction, where you can find the latest album reviews, you can find band interviews, and you can find our live episodes, which we do live every Wednesday night at around 8:30 Eastern Standard Time. So make sure to come check that out, especially tonight, the 7th. We're doing our special 30th episode tonight, as well as we're going to be announcing some details on how you can win stuff in our giveaway for our 100 sub special sort of a thing. So definitely don't miss out on that. As well as make sure to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on a thing. Um, as well as I know people have been leaving me comments in some older videos. I will definitely get around to doing these album reviews. It's just a lot of cool music's coming out as of recently, so I'll definitely get my way around to this hopefully this week or next week. But don't think that I forgot about them. Definitely will be doing them in the foreseeable future, like I said. Also, make sure to hit that thumbs up button if you like this review. Um, and yeah, so we'll get right into it. Tonight, we're going to be talking about of Mice and Men's new record, Cold World. So, if you haven't heard of Mice and Men, they've been around for quite some time at this point. Um, I believe this is their fourth record, if I'm not mistaken. They've done the self-titled, they've done the Flood, they've done Restoring Force, and now this new one, Cold World. Um, and I wasn't really stoked on Restoring Force. There's a few tracks that I like, Bones Exposed being one of them. I definitely love the Flood. I definitely love their self-titled record. Those are the ones that got me into this band. So, when I found out that, they're doing their second studio record with Aaron, I wanted to give it a listen. Maybe they tried something different on this record, and hopefully, I would enjoy it. If you didn't know, guys, this record comes out the 9th of September, so make sure to go pick it up if you like Of Mice and Men. But let's get right into the tracks. So the first track is called Game of War. It's a little bit slow at the beginning. It's a cool opener. It's mainly Aaron singing. It's a very like sort of mellow track. I definitely think it's a more interesting opener. It's a little bit slower. It didn't get me really excited for how the rest of the album's gonna sound. I do like the vocal range of Aaron. I've always liked his stuff. I've always liked him in Jamie's Elsewhere more specifically. But this is a cool opener. I definitely wouldn't say it's one of my favorite tracks, but I certainly enjoyed it after a few listens. So we'll move into the second track, which is The Lie. So this track is a really awesome track. I was not expecting this one. I know Mice and Men have kind of gone in a different direction after obviously Shaley left. So I haven't been following them as heavily as I used to follow them. But I really dug this track a lot. It kind of reminds me of them getting kind of back to their roots in terms of, um, I think this kind of is the love child between the Flood and Restoring Force. There are some heavier bits, but there's also some nice, cool, clean singing from Aaron, like usual, and Austin just holding down the screams on this track. And I just like that one. I think it's a cool juxtaposition from Game of War, which is kind of like a slower start, and then they just get into kind of a heavier track. I really enjoyed that one. So we'll move on to track number 3, which is Real. This was the second single, I believe, that they released, and obviously this track was met with mixed reviews, and I can understand why. They went definitely more that mellow direction. In terms of just vocally and stuff like that, and just how the track is. I definitely enjoy it, and I think with this record is that you have to take it as if they're kind of a fresh band. And that's the perspective that I took on this record because, again, I really didn't listen to a lot of Restoring Force. I thought it was an okay record, but I wanted to give Cold World a little bit more justice and a little bit more time, just because it's a newer record and stuff like that, and just being out of a Mice and Men for a while, I felt like, I should give it the time of day. But I really enjoyed this track. It's more of a kind of like a hard rock based track. You start to hear Austin's cleans, which the only song that I can remember him doing that had cleans was well, outside of Restoring Force. Did he do anything? I honestly don't remember. because I haven't been listening to them for a while. But I liked his clean singing. I don't have a problem with it. I'd like to certainly just hear how he sounds live and how he does it live. But in the studio, I feel like they did a really good job. Their voices mesh very well together. The only thing that I would say that I would like to hear is maybe like they do some harmony, and maybe that might be in the next record or something like that. But that would be really awesome to see that, and I know that might put a little bit more of a strain on Aaron, but I feel like that would be a cool way for them to not only still have the screams that Austin does, but also do some clean singing like he wants to do, I'm sure, and that just kind of adds so that Aaron doesn't feel kind of like left out of the track. So either that or like some dubs. I feel like that would be awesome on something like that. But I enjoyed Real a lot. Um, so moving on to track number four, Like a Ghost. Um, this one wasn't bad either. A lot of these tracks I feel like they're a little bit forgettable. Especially towards like the latter half. I didn't really enjoy them as much. I'm used to them being, more of a heavier band, but I dug this one as well. I wouldn't say it's one of my favorites. I would say the only ones that I have up in the top would probably be The Lie, and Real is very close. It's one of the better tracks off the record. So we'll move in to track number five, which is Contagious. This was the third single that they released from their album so far. I also dug this one again because it reminds me a lot of, past records that they've done. There's still heavy bits to it, but there's also a good mix of some of the stuff that they did on Restoring Force and stuff like that. I feel like this is a continuation of that, and I feel like they're going to continue going into that direction of that more rock, radio hard rock friendly sort of stuff. So, um, props to them for doing that. But I dug this track as well. I'd say it's up in my favorites as well. I just like Austin Screams. I've always liked Austin Screams all the way back to Attack Attack days. I've really liked how he's just evolved as a screamer, and now he's taking on some of the singing lines. I really enjoy that diversity from him, and just him as a vocalist. So that one's cool. Track number six is kind of like an interlude, and it leads into actually the first single that they released, which is Pain. You heard a little bit of a clip of that at the beginning of this review. If you haven't heard this track, I will make sure to leave links to all of the singles in the description, as well as I think it's up on Apple Music. It's streaming on Apple Music, the whole thing. So if you have Apple Music, definitely go check that out. If not, definitely listen to the singles. Pain is most definitely one of the heavier tracks on the record, if not the heaviest track. And at first, I really didn't dig this track, but I feel like it's grown on me. This is definitely a grower track. Again, it's one of the heavier tracks, which I dig, and I like when they do heavy stuff. Um, as well, but I really dug this one as well. It's just definitely got that new metal sort of vibe to it. It's just got that gritty vocals. There's no cleans. Um, it's just Austin at his finest, and I like what he's doing. I'm not really a fan of that whole like Marilyn Manson sort of like talk, scream sort of a thing. But I feel like he pulls it off pretty well considering. So we'll move on to track number eight, which is The Hunger. This one's probably another one of my least favorite tracks off the record. Some of these tracks towards the end, like I said, are getting forgettable. Um, Mostly The Hunger is a decent track. I wouldn't say it's bad, and I wouldn't say that any of these tracks are bad. It just feels like mentally they're a little bit forgettable. We'll move on to track number nine, which is Relentless. I would say this is the biggest curveball of the record. I definitely dig what they did. They kind of switched it up a little bit. It's definitely got a new metal vibe to it. Something's harkening back to like Limp Bizkit or like Corn or something like that. I feel like this is like right up that alley in terms of vocal style, stuff like that, as well as I would say without a doubt that this has the catchiest chorus of the album. I remind every time I went through this track, I definitely enjoyed when the chorus just kicked in. Aaron again is a tight vocalist, and I like what he does on this track, so I would definitely put this in one of my favorites. Track number 10, Down the Road. This one's another really good one. I feel like they went more rock towards the end, especially after Relentless. Um, it kind of just mellowed out, and then obviously mellows into Game of War, and then the whole album starts again. But down the road, I really enjoyed. I've really again missed Aaron's clean singing, and this track primarily features most of Aaron's singing, with Austin doing some clean overdubs and stuff like that, which is great. I think he sounds amazing in this track. This one's another one of my favorites off the record. Um, but this is another solid sort of rock track. Again, I took it from the perspective of that they are a new band. Obviously, only taking memories from like older records like The Flood and the self-titled record. I didn't really listen to Restoring Force like I mentioned earlier. So, I really dug this track. I like that they again went in that sort of rock direction. That's a great way for them to go. I feel like that might be the future for them at least. Track number 12 is another forgettable track, along with 11 being another sort of interlude as well into 12. Um, but I really can't say much about these tracks. Again, they kind of feel like they're they just seem forgettable to me, especially like 12 and 13. They just seem like slower, sort of forgettable tracks towards the end. I feel like if they ended it at Down the Road, I feel like I would have been completely fine with that. But Away and Transfigured are both okay tracks. I wouldn't say that they're the best tracks that they've put out. But yeah, so we'll move into the pros and the cons of the record. So my pros are that they kind of did a little bit of a different thing on this record. Um, they featured a little bit more of Austin's clean singing, which is actually really good. I like that he brought the diversity, but I also feel like Aaron is underutilized in this band, and being a Jamie's Elsewhere fan, um, I feel like he's kind of left out in some of these tracks, and this is more of the Austin Carlisle show, in terms of what he does. Um, I know he plays bass and I know he sings, but other than that, there it kind of gets lost in that kind of Austin Carlisle sort of bubble, sort of a thing. But overall, I like that they meshed pretty well together. I just feel like they should utilize his voice a little bit more. And especially, I feel like they don't use his screaming at all. Like, I don't know if he's forgotten how to scream or like he just doesn't want to scream anymore. But I loved his screams, and they said a storm was coming. So I feel like they're just underutilizing him as just a vocalist, and that kind of hurts me a little bit, considering that again, I love Jamie's Elsewhere, I love Old of Mice and Men. This just kind of pains me to say that. Some cons is that again, it kind of feels sluggish at some points, especially at the beginning with Game of War. I mean, obviously it kicks in with The Lie, and that's one of my favorite tracks off the record, but towards the end, especially after Down the Road, it starts to kind of feel slow and sluggish to me. But I would say overall it's a solid record. I'd say it's better than Restoring Force, um, especially sort of the deluxe edition one. I feel like the deluxe edition one with those sort of tracks like Broken Generation, I feel like they went in that sort of direction, like radio hard rock, sort of that style. And I can't hate on that. That they want to do what they want to do, and they're gonna do what they want to do. So, at the end of the day, I can only say what I feel like the album, how I perceive the album, and obviously you guys have different opinions. So, I'd certainly like to know in the comments what your thoughts are on this record. I definitely don't think it's a bad record, especially if you take it from the perspective of them being a sort of newer band. Obviously, they've gone through a lineup change, um, and that was the past album, Restoring Force. Obviously, they've kind of solidified their thing again, but um, to me, it still feels like it's a little bit messy and like at sometimes a little bit sluggish on this record. But overall, it's a solid record. Like I said, I probably give this a 7.5 out of 10. I think you should listen to it, um, and I just feel like you should at least give it one or two listens. I know it's not for everyone, and I know that fans like myself who have been listening to them for such a long time can get some stuff out of it, and then people who like more of that radio hard rock sort of vibes will get a lot of enjoyment out of this record. There are some heavier tracks which you can get down with, as well as there's some of those lighter tracks that go into more of that rock direction. I certainly like that as well. I like that they, diversified in that sense. There's everything from like new metal sort of stuff to like, you know, rock sort of bass tracks. So I'll give them credit on that, that they definitely tried to expand their sound a little bit. And I wouldn't say there were any boundaries pushed. I mean, in their regard for their band, I feel like they pushed a little bit of boundaries, but still feel like Aaron's underutilized in this band, and I hope to see in the next record that he puts a little bit more. They, put him into more tracks, and hopefully he does some more cleans, maybe some screams. That'd be amazing if he did some screams, because I know he does them live, so that would be amazing if he actually did it on the record with Austin. I feel like that would be just beautiful. So let me know in the comments section below what your thoughts are on either the singles or the album as a whole. I really honestly like to know, how this rates to you. Me being an old Of Mice and Men fan, I feel like this album's kind of a solid middle ground between like something heavy and something, sort of rock bass direction, hard rock direction. But I wouldn't necessarily say it's a bad album, but I wouldn't necessarily say it's one of their best. But again, it's all opinion. So let me know in the comments. Make sure to hit that thumbs up if you like it. That'd be amazing. Thanks for your support, guys. And with that being said, we'll talk to you later. Peace.
So did you like the video? Then make sure you subscribe to Audio Addiction's channel by hitting that button right over there. Subscribe to our channel helps you stay up to speed on all of our latest content. Speaking of latest content, you can check out a recent episode from our live weekly show right down there, as well as a recent album review right over there. And you can check us out on social media right over there. So what are you waiting for? Let's talk music.